MMA Fighting presents Timeline, Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes. November 16th, 2016, UFC Fight Night 101, Whittaker versus Brunson, Melbourne, Australia. The 13-1 Alexander Volkanovski makes his UFC debut opposite Japanese fighter Yusuke Kasuya. Volkanovski defeats Kasuya by ground and pound TKO midway through round 2. Volkanovski would follow up that victory the following June on the UFC Fight Night 110 Lewis vs. Hunt card in Auckland, New Zealand by defeating Japanese veteran Mizuto Hirota by decision. February 10th, 2018, UFC 221 Romero vs. Rockhold, Perth, Australia. Volkanovski returns to the octagon against the undefeated Jeremy Kennedy.
You are on this mission to rid the UFC of the quote-unquote bad guys. Who are these bad guys that you're talking about? Why do you have an issue with them?
Look, it's just, everyone's doing the whole talking shit type of thing, and I know it just bores me now. I think, I know I get it. It's entertaining. Some of the guys are really good at it, but everyone's trying to do it now. I literally cringe every time I see someone trying to, trash talk, and some people just don't have it and they just try, and I just find it funny. And I've always been, a respectful type of guy, and no one's really playing the good guy. I know there's a lot of good guys out there, but if you just want to play the bad guy here, I'm ready to play the superhero. I'll go and take these bad guys out.
When you were a rugby league player, did someone introduce you to martial arts, or were you someone who did martial arts as a kid and were always interested in MMA, and then you just decided to go into it full time?
Yeah, I just always loved any martial arts. So whether it was boxing, kickboxing, MMA, and I just always loved it. And I remember playing football. I wasn't even training MMA, and I used to watch the UFC and think, oh yeah, I'm going to be a champion one day. And I wasn't even training at the time, and you know what I mean. It's just fun. I used to listen to music and just imagine me in the octagon fighting. And again, I wasn't even training.
Wow.
It was something that I always wanted to do. And my last year of rugby league, I had a couple of fights. They went well. I got Player of the Year. I scored a try in the grand final, and we finished on a really good year. And I just made the decision. You know what? I'm gonna just do MMA. And people thought I was mad. I was actually pretty good at rugby league. So a lot of people thought I was mad to actually change. They're like, oh, what are you doing? But I knew I was never gonna make it to NRL, which is right at the top.
Okay. And
I was like, I'm a competitive type of guy. So I was like, MMA, I think I can do it. Took it on, and 5 or 6 years later, I'm in the UFC. So I've only been in the sport. I'm still new to this sport.
Yeah.
6 years max.
Do you feel okay now? 3-0 in the UFC, correct? What are you?
Yep.
16-1. This would be your 14th straight victory, correct? I mean, it's been a while since you lost a fight.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, okay, I do something impressive here, I'm going to take that next step? Is this the one? And if so, how do you get it done on Saturday or Sunday morning, I should say, in Perth?
Yeah, 100%. That's why I think this fight, we're both 3-0 in the UFC. I think the winner really moves forward. You know what I mean? So I think that's exactly what's happening. Yeah, 13 wins on the trot. I fought at middleweight. My first few fights were middleweight and welterweight. So my loss was that, actually. So I haven't lost in the lower divisions. My only loss was in welterweight against a pound-for-pound #1 in Southeast Asia, Australia at the time. So I was, wasn't ready for that fight. So in my eyes, I still believe I'm undefeated, but obviously I'm not. But it's just, it's definitely, I get a big win here, I'm getting a ranked opponent. So, and hopefully, I know I'm putting a performance, so I reckon these people are going to try and duck me, but, I might have to call someone out. I pride myself on being the nice guy and I don't call people out, but I'm going to have to call someone out. One of these bad guys, because they ain't no one going to call me out, I don't believe.
Volkanovski moves to 17-1 after he finishes Kennedy by ground and pound late into round 2. Volkanovski returns to the cage the following June at UFC Fight Night 133 Dos Santos versus Ivanov in Boise, Idaho. Volkanovski wins his US debut and remains undefeated in the UFC by defeating Darren Elkins by decision. December 29th, 2018, UFC 232 Jones versus Gustafsson 2, Inglewood, California. Volkanovski is booked against top-ranked and multi-time title challenger Chad Mendes.
Yeah, I know it's the moment, but right now everything feels the same. I've prepared. I'm always more than ready for my fights. This time I had an even bigger camp and everything went really smooth. I'm peaked right at the right time. So, mate, it's unreal, and I just, it's a big opportunity for me, and I'm going to capitalise. And everyone will know who I am Saturday night. What I say, Battle of the Hobbits this weekend. You know what I mean? So, two little stocky guys that know how to throw. You know what I mean? Usually, I can control where the fight goes and sort of bully my way into things. That's not going to happen. It might not, but I won't be surprised if I am still way too powerful for him. But I'm expecting it to be fireworks. So you're going to see a lot more hands thrown, and expect a bang. Max Holloway, as a fighter, I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a gamer. The way he is, like he could have copped way less damage if he wanted, but that's not his style. His style's come forward. But that's why I believe guys like me, Chad Mendes, Frankie Edgar are really bad matchups for him. And that's why I really think if I do what I'm planning on doing, and I'm guarantee it's going to happen, I'm going to be calling him out, and I reckon that's going to be coming very soon. I guarantee you that them short little stocky wrestlers are his worst nightmare, just purely because he's such a gamer and he's going to stick to his guns, and I just think that's not a good idea.
In a breakthrough performance, the Great knocks Mendes out late in the second round. The performance earns Fight of the Night honors.
Dave, we talked about Israel Adesanya this year being the guy from that part of the world breaking out. But Volkanovski has had an incredible year, and a win over Mendes like that puts him kind of on that upper echelon of featherweights in the division. Where does he, maybe not title shot next, but where is he right now? Is he maybe one fight away from title shot? He's got to be up in that region.
Certainly real close. He beat a guy not just beat a guy like Chad Mendes, but the poise he showed in just shaking off. Mendes hits like a Mack truck, and the poise he showed in just shaking that off, that tells me that he can probably take anyone's shots in this division. Have to see how things play out a little bit. Like maybe he fights whoever wins Jose Aldo's next fight, but he is, those are the people that you need to be thinking of. If it's maybe not quite there for a title shot yet, but he's certainly not far.
And Volkanovski said that he feels like he's a terrible matchup for Max Holloway, and he's already kind of calling for that fight. Maybe a bit premature, but
gotta like the confidence.
100%, absolutely.
What a crazy sport we're in. Crazy sport. Still, I don't know, it really hasn't kicked in, really, because I've had to get the stitches and do a bit of the media and stuff like that, but it's Chad Mendes. I know I've said this in the interviews, going, he's only lost to the greats and I'm going to be another great. You say these things, but it's fucking happened, you know what I mean? It's unreal feeling. I've got a lot of respect, for the guy, and I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I didn't, I might have been down that first round. So it's good to, a bit of adversity, but at the same time, I still think I could have done better, but, it's good to show people that, I'll stand in front of the toughest, most explosive guys in the division, and I could see him start to crumble as soon as I had my way with him, and it ended up going to plan. Mate, I called out Max Holloway, not because I think, oh yeah, I'm definitely the next in line. Obviously Moicano and it was probably the next in line, but he missed weight, and then you're hearing a lot of people say, what's left for him in this division. He hasn't fought a wrestler really for a while, a good strong wrestler with a big puncher, you know what I mean? And I know he's a gamer, and he's the type of guy that he'll, we've all taken, he didn't have to cop that damage that he done, but the fact that he just comes forward and that's his game, that's why a lot of people got a respect for him, but I just think that's why we're a bad matchup for him. And until he takes out someone like me or Frankie Edgar, then you could say he's took out everyone in the division. I really think that,
So you're saying, hold on a second, Max, don't go up just yet.
Yeah, well, even he wants to. He's a gamer. He wants to take out the division. He really does. That's why everyone loves him. But I reckon, if I'm not next, I'll be the fight after that. And I guarantee you, if he plays that game that he always does, and I know he will. Again, he's a gamer. He's a gangster. I love it. But that's just not going to work for me.
May 11th, 2019, UFC 237, Namajunas versus Andrade, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Alexander Volkanovski takes on his toughest opponent to date, the former featherweight champion, Jose Aldo.
Like I always say in every fight, I prepare for the worst. So I'm preparing for a war. I'm fit enough and mentally strong enough to get through it. So I'm always mentally and physically prepared. So, you could go out there and it could end in 5 seconds. It could end in 13 seconds. But it's, I'm prepared to go 5 rounds. Obviously it's not, but I'm more, I could go 5 rounds, no dramas. That's it. That's why I'm always prepared for the worst.
Many people in Brazil see you as a perfect matchup for Aldo. Why are they wrong?
Perfect. Oh yeah. Look, a lot of people see, obviously he's fought a lot of wrestlers with big punches, but I wouldn't say that's more casuals, but I mean, a lot of people, it goes a lot deeper than that. A lot of people look at it and they'll be like, oh yeah, short, stocky wrestler with big punches. That's what they think. Oh, Aldo made a career off that. I get why they're saying it, but I mean, if you dig deep, I throw a lot of different little things in my pace, my pressure, the way I chain things together is much different and much more tiring. So, that's something that, he might feel like he's comfortable for the first 30 seconds, but it's going to change real quick.
Volkanovski halts Aldo's 2-fight winning streak and defeats Aldo by decision in a workmanlike performance.
Well, we know, obviously, again, he's a counter striker. He loves a counter. He's always based very heavily. You know what I mean? He loves the leg kicks. Look, if you stand still in front of him, he's going to fire them big leg kicks. I'm sure that was his game plan with me to fire off the leg kicks. But again, I always had him adjust them. So that's why you see me with a lot of movements, a lot of fakes and a lot of feints. I just always had him guessing, always, I actually was trying to draw him into pulling the trigger a bit much. I think he noticed that. So that's why he wasn't pulling the trigger at all. But at the same time, again, you can see even with the clinch work and stuff like that, mate, if I shot and he stuffed the takedown, I was going to come right back at him. That was just another thing for him to worry about. It was just to have a puzzle in front of him, have him so worried about things that I'm doing, you get what I mean? He's very, very overreactive. He reacts heavily to everything. And that's why you've seen every time I've done something, he was ready to head slipping, ready to pull the trigger. And you know what I mean? Alt shift, he would always adjust, always adjusting, always very, very, very based. He's always had a very good base. You know what I mean? And that's why he's the type of person that defends takedowns very well. But, we sort of capitalize on that. And
what is the key to beating Max Holloway?
I just still fight my fight. Again, like, he's a gamer, man. He comes forward. He does a lot of the work for me, you know what I mean? So that's why I'm a bad matchup for him. I really do believe that, you know what I mean? He's the type of person that does come forward. And, again, like, he's not the hardest hitter. He's got a lot of volume. But, again, mate, if you're there trying to throw volume at me, you're going to receive some. And, they're going to be heavy. They're going to be powerful. And then you've got my wrestling to worry about. Then you've got everything else to worry about. Obviously I've got many tools that he needs to worry about. So I believe it's a very dangerous fight for him. But he's game. He'd be keen. Let's make it happen.
Well, let's say if someone wanted to say, okay, but he fought Aldo twice and stopped him both times in the third round. You didn't knock him down. So therefore Max is better. What would you say to that argument?
Mate, I guarantee you people will say that. But I mean, they don't know the game. And obviously, I'm a calculated fighter. I'm going to be the type of person that I'm going to do what needs to be done to win. You know what I mean? Like, so at the same time, I'm not going to take stupid risks and give someone like Aldo. Obviously, he's a dangerous guy. He can knock anyone out at any given time. Why take silly risks when I don't need to? I was doing enough. I was working enough. He just didn't pull the trigger. But if he did a little bit more, I reckon I would have capitalized. But he didn't. But maybe he was waiting for me to throw more careless shots and stuff like that. But again, I'm a smart fighter. I've got a good fighter IQ, and again, I'm very, very well-rounded, and I'm only getting better. So the longer that Max waits, the worse it'll be for him because I'm getting better and better every day.
December 14th, 2019, UFC 245, Usman versus Covington, Las Vegas, Nevada. The reigning UFC featherweight champion, Max Blessed Holloway, is booked to defend his belt against the Australian Alexander Volkanovski as the co-main event at the blockbuster year-end UFC pay-per-view.
Next year, mate, I'm looking to be the greatest featherweight of all time. So a lot of people are twisting my words and saying that, I'm looking through Max and I want a rematch. I was actually saying that, I'm looking to be the greatest featherweight, and if I have to beat him again, then that's what I'll do to prove to the world that I'm the greatest featherweight of all time.
What do you think? A lot of people have been saying that you are a terrible matchup for Max Holloway on paper. I've seen it everywhere, really. Yeah. A lot of people are saying this. You must believe that yourself.
Oh, 100%. And I know that. So I know I'm a terrible matchup, and I've always known that. Maybe these people are starting to jump on board because they've seen him lose and they know he's not invincible, but it's even deeper than that. Just his style and his game that he's so good at, and don't get me wrong, it's very effective, and I use that as well in my fights. But that obviously it doesn't work with me. He can't approach this fight the way he has, and he probably still will because he's such a gamer. But I mean, if he's going to come at me like that and think he can grind me down and punch me in volume and, you know, outstrike me like that, he's got another thing coming. You know, obviously I'm very powerful, and if he's going to come at me like that and I get to sit on my punches, I hit very hard. And if you're going to do all the work for me and let me, you know, obviously the shots are going to be there, the power, the punches, overhands, you name it. I get to just play what's in front of me, and I get to enjoy this fight. Obviously it's going to be a tough one. Like I said, it's going to be still back and forth. I still think that. I know I'm going to land some big shots and he's still going to come at me, but I think his game, he'll realise that it's not going to work with me pretty early in that fight. I've got a lot of respect for him. He's a great champion. He had that blessed era, but that changes, and that all ends December 14th.
Volkanovski defeats Holloway by unanimous decision. Alexander the Great Volkanovski is the new UFC featherweight champion.
I said I was the guy to do it. And, you know, again, I'm not cocky, but I'm confident, and I got a job done. And, you know, there was a lot of doubters there. I think that I ended up looking at a pro's picks. Not one of them picked me. Not one. But I use that as motivation. I love it. They'll pick me next time. I'm just too powerful, man. Like, they go one way, I go another. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Like, I'm so well-rounded. I could just go anywhere with it. If he was really fixing me up on the feet and I had to grind it, like, you know, look for takedowns, I could always go there. You know what I mean? That's the thing. I've got so many ways to go. Even striking, there's so many ways to go. So I proved that. Again, he's good with his range. It was like, how's he going to handle the range? It's like, that's how.
July 11th, 2020, UFC 251, Yas Island, Abu Dhabi. The featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski is set to defend his title for the first time in a rematch against the former champion Max Holloway on Fight Island.
Well, yeah, he can say whatever he wants. I'm the champ. I got the belt. I beat him. So, you know, he can say, oh, I still feel it, whatever. It doesn't matter. That's just who I am. That's the type of guy. That's what I said. I go, I'm a champion chasing the contenders. I'm looking at all of them, every single one of them. I'm going to take out Max this weekend. That's what I plan on doing. And this ain't cockiness, but, you know, I just believe in my abilities. And to be the best, you got to beat the best, and that's the number one contenders. So I've got my eye on all these contenders. I've said it from day one. I'm chasing these contenders, so he can look at it the way he wants. But that's just who I am. I ain't sit on the top and be like, yeah, cool, or chill on top. That ain't good enough for me. I've got my eye on all of them. I'm coming for them all. If you want to be the goat in the division, you need to take out your number one contenders, and that's what I plan on doing. So yeah, I guess I still feel like a challenger in a way. That's just how I look at it. That's how I keep myself motivated. You know what I mean? I'm going to look for things to keep me motivated. And that's why this weekend I'm motivated, and I'm going to put him away. And if he's going to keep acting the way he is, he's just going to make it feel even better once my hand gets raised.
In one of the closest fights in UFC history, Volkanovski successfully defends his belt in a highly competitive and controversial split decision.
Yeah, well, obviously fourth and fifth, I'm pretty confident most people would know I clearly won them. That third round was probably a little bit closer out of the three last ones. But, you know, obviously the takedowns and, you know, a lot of my shots I feel like were better shots anyway, to be quite honest. But then first two rounds, again, I'm a realist. I'll tell you, I believe that you know, he started off well. But I come back from the third onwards. Again, I showed what champions are made of. This sport isn't easy. And sometimes you're going to be put in these positions, and only certain champions can dig deep like I did. And, you know, again, I'm proud that I dug deep and got the job done and bring this back home to Australia and to my family.
And look, there's no way you could call this a robbery, Jose. Like, if Holloway got the nod, I wouldn't have been upset. Volkanovski getting it, that doesn't upset me either. What did you think of the featherweight title fight and how the decision went?
I had Max winning. I can't remember the exact scores I had, the exact rounds I had, but I had him winning. I thought it was pretty obvious. Max won. It's not a robbery because at the end of it, I'm like, that was a really, really close fight. The problem is, in my mind, Max clearly won the first two. I think that's obvious. He won the first two. I had a bunch of knockdowns. But then when the rounds that Volkanovski won, which would be 3, 4, 5, I think on the judges' scorecards, I don't think he clearly won any of those. I think in the fourth round, I was looking at this, I'm like, Max could be up 4-0 or it could be 2-2. Like, that's how close this is right now. So Max is in the situation where he gets all these knockdowns, clearly wins the first two, and then Volkanovski, I don't want to say skates by or steals or anything, because they were just razor thin. Those were 10-9 rounds. Either round could have gone to them. He seemed to be going to the well a lot with those leg kicks, and Holloway was making a lot of adjustments, as you said. I think in the first 2 rounds, he looked like a completely different fighter. Looks like the greatest featherweight of all time in there. And I thought after the first 2 rounds, I was like, Max is going to win this. Like, he looks unbelievable in there. But at the end, Volkanovski pulled it out. I was doing Twitter reacts for the site. I tell you, Alexander Volkanovski's fellow fighters are not happy about that decision. And we could talk all we want about judges and scorecards and this, but if a fighter's watching it and the majority of fighters are complaining about it, maybe they're just the most vocal and the ones that disagree or aren't saying anything, but the majority of the fighters I saw react completely disagree. They thought Volkanovski won at least 3 of those rounds, and I don't disagree with them. But Volkanovski won, and Max is now 0-2 against the champion. It's a weird time to be a featherweight, because you got a quote unquote like this champion that's on the super long run, that's looked uber impressive, beats Holloway twice, beats Aldo, and then now we can go out to these bigger fights. But you're always getting in the back of your mind like, yo, you lost that second fight to Holloway. I wish it didn't go that way.
September 25th, 2021. UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega, Las Vegas, Nevada. Alexander Volkanovski is set to defend his featherweight title for the second time against grappling ace and 15-1 Brian Ortega.
Alex, you spent the Ultimate Fighter series next to Brian. I'm curious, what is the biggest thing you learned about him during that experience?
To be honest, well, obviously I'm professional. I mean, I've said it all week. I'm professional and weakness. You know what I mean? That's what upsets me the most is I'm professional. I put the hard yards in my whole life, especially in this career. That's how I got this belt. And, he half-assed it, turns up training late. You know, I mean, you name it. I just see weakness. You know, I'm professional. Obviously, shown weakness, obviously, a few years back, popping for juicing. You know what I mean? Shit like that. That shit annoys me. It's not professional, and I ain't about that shit.
And I'm curious for you, Brian, what is the biggest thing you learned about Alex during the Ultimate Fighter?
Not much.
Do you agree that you're unprofessional, or do you think he's way off?
I don't know. I think I see life through a different lens, Some people like to be told what to do. I kind of live on my own time. As long as I get the job done, right? That's what matters to me.
Mate, ever since I got told you popped, I had no idea. Ever since I got told, that's it. I'm done. That shit doesn't stay with me. I'm over that shit.
You've been done, right? Don't do shit about it, though.
T-City over here. Does it bother you that this man feels that you shouldn't even be in the octagon with you, that he thinks that you're not on his level? How much does that fire you up to get the job done on Saturday night?
I'm already here. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to share the octagon with him, whether he likes it or not, whether he likes me or not. We're going to fucking fight.
He deserves to be here. He deserves to be here. I'll give him that. But he ain't taking the belt. You don't deserve it.
We'll see about that.
After escaping deep submissions early in the fight, Volkanovski takes over and wins a unanimous decision. The UFC awards Volkanovski and Ortega Fight of the Night honors.
That fight was ridiculous. Volkanovski retains the title. The scorecards were 49-46, 50-45, 50-44, if memory serves me correctly. But you said it earlier, it was not indicative on how good and how competitive that fight actually was. So wax poetic, because we don't get to do this that often. Like we love when martial arts are mixed, but when we see them at high levels like this, when they're in a blender, when you blend the martial arts and you hit like full power, that's what we saw in that main event.
And throw in just a little, just massive amounts of just heart and just grime and blood and just courage and just everything. Wow, it was super duper. And just freaking toughness. Oh wow. This is just the third round. One of the greatest championship rounds we've ever seen. And it still might not have been the best round of the night, as crazy as that sounds, but I think it is. But oh my goodness, I picked Ortega coming into this fight. I picked him by 3rd round submission, so it was very close. Apparently, I was so close that the champ was gurgling. Apparently, but man, Volkanovski, he is. This is the fight he needed to kind of put him over fans. I think this washes a bit of the bad taste that maybe fans felt by him defeating in the split decision over the Holloway fight. I really think this kind of washes that away. Volkanovski now, without a doubt, is the UFC champion, not just in name, but like he owns it now. And I think of this win tonight also, you know, we're now talking maybe Volkanovski really is and that kind of Mount Rushmore of all-time great featherweights. He's still, I think he's only 32, so he's like right at his prime of his athletic career. So just an exciting night in mixed martial arts, and can't say enough good things about Mr. Volkanovski.
That was as deep as it can get. No shit, as deep as it can get. I remember I was making fucking weird noises. I remember I was sitting, I was like going, I don't know what noise I made, but I remember he even said I was gurgling, but that was like a weird, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm about to lose this belt, like, you're kidding. And then I like obviously kept fighting and just opened a little bit of space. I'm like, all right, I'm good. And then got my chin out and then it was all good. And then I knew I'd be up from there. And then he chucked me in the fucking triangle as well. So, mate, he just shows, you know, T-City, he's known for his jiu-jitsu. I thought that he wouldn't get me that deep, but he did, credit to him. He made me really dig deep to get out of there. But again, I've showed time and time again that I always dig deep, and, you know, that's just what champions are made of.
April 9th, 2022, UFC 273, Volkanovski versus Korean Zombie, Jacksonville, Florida. Volkanovski returns to the cage in another main event pay-per-view bout, this time opposite fan favorite, the Korean Zombie.
Oh man, I'm pumped for this. I'm absolutely pumped. You know, obviously it's a new face. It's, well, not really a new face, but I mean, obviously across the octagon for me, but he's definitely a familiar face. He's been around forever. It's a guy that I've always wanted to fight. You know, I've always thought I was going to fight. You know what I mean? It's a Zombie. He's been at the top of the game ever since this featherweight division has ever started. So, you know, it was something that, this is a legacy fight. This is someone, you know, I've taken out a lot of the legends and I want to keep taking out legends. So he's definitely one of them. You know, he's earned this spot. You know what I mean? He definitely has. So I'm motivated 100%. Again, like I'm going to be motivated no matter who's in front of me, because there's expectation what I want, you know, out of myself. So I'm going to go out there, do my thing. But unfortunately for him, you know what I mean? You know, I'm happy for him that he got a title shot. It's probably going to be his last title shot. And again, you know, I don't want to say I'm looking past him like I'm cocky, but I mean, where I'm at right now, I can't see myself being beaten. You know, I did him a solid we did him a solid by giving him this last shot. But that's it. That's as far as this favor goes, because I'm going to take that away from him. But yeah.
The champion dominates and finishes the durable brawler early in round 4.
Well, I think tonight he came out and made a statement, you know what I mean, that I'm the baddest dude in this division of the world. He made the Zombie look like he didn't even belong there. And, you know, fight probably could have been stopped the round before it did, but he couldn't look better than he looked tonight. He looked incredible.
I'm in a position where, you know, I can do a couple of things. And if this division don't want to sort itself out and they're all going to sit back and just fucking wait for shit, and then fine, I'll move up and fight lightweight. Again, I'm an easy champ to understand. Take that number 1 spot, you get that shot. If not, let's move up. I think we're in a good position to maybe move up, see what happens in this lightweight division title fight, and maybe move up. Because again, I'm showing them levels ahead in this division. Maybe we move up.
Have you given a lot of thought to that? I mean, do you know how your game would perform at 155? Would you want to like pack a lot of weight on and stay there, or go back and forth?
Nah, man, I don't think I need to. I'm pretty strong for the featherweight division. I'm strong for a lightweight division too. You know, most of my training partners are lightweights and welterweights and things like that anyway. So, you know, I fought at middleweight. You know, people forget. You know, we talk about pound for pound. You got to remember, I'm undefeated middleweight. My only loss is at welterweight. You know, I'm undefeated in every other division. You know what I mean? So look what I'm doing to some of these guys, and I fought in all different weights. You know, we talk about pound for pound. You know what I mean? It's there. I'm showing you what I can do. So, and again, I'm owning that crown, man. Honestly. So from now on, Bald Volk, as I said last fucking time I talked to you guys, Bald Volk's coming from fucking everyone. So lightweight division, watch out.
July 2nd, 2022, UFC 276, Adesanya versus Cannonier, Las Vegas, Nevada. The former featherweight title holder and now challenger takes on the reigning champion Alexander Volkanovski for the third time.
I always told myself that the belt doesn't define you. You know, I'm a champion. I've been telling everybody that I'm going to be a champion, and I was a champion since when I first got into the UFC. You know, that's just the way that you got to carry yourself. You know, if you don't carry yourself that way, then why are you fighting? You know, are you fighting to be the second best in the world? That makes no sense. You know, so I keep telling myself that I'm the best and I'm the champ, and you know, it is what it is. If you disagree, then we can figure it out in the octagon. It's crazy, you know. When in the last decade, you know, did this fight happen where two top guys in the top 10 pound for pound rankings happen? How many times did it happen? You know, I mean, the only guys that come to mind is DC and Jones. You know, that's the only guys. You know, and we're here now. You know, this fight, these things don't happen. You know, and these are the things that excite me. You know, we get to be a part of that history. And to you guys, to all the hardcore fans, this is what they want. They want the best of the best fighting each other, and here they are. You know, these top pound for pound fighters don't fight each other. They just don't. It doesn't happen. You know, it happens every so often in a decade, and we're getting blessed with one right now.
No, all week, all I heard was you guys talking about damage. We're talking about damage here. Oh, you guys, damage this, damage that. I'm known for taking damage, and he's known for not giving it, so let's get it.
Hey, we're going to see Saturday night, right? That's the beauty of it. That's why you can't spar anymore, because you're punching the head too much.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Let him have him, Nine Island. Let him have him. Let him have it. Let him have it.
Oh, good.
I can't hear you to the noise,
all
brother.
day.
I can't hear shit.
Hey, I love it.
I can't hear shit, brother.
Hey, you 2-0, about to be 3-0. Let's fucking go.
It's Saturday night, baby.
Hey, I want to say, the booze, everything, the energy in here, I love it. I'm feeding
I love it too. The
Bring it on.
booze, the yes, let's get it.
I love it.
Volkanovski dominates Holloway and wins a lopsided, unanimous decision.
Obviously, a finish is always good, but I mean, for people to expect a finish with a fight like this, we're both durable, we're both tough, we're both smart. You know what I mean? It's, again, a legendary chin that I wanted to crack, and it stays legendary again. So, credit to him.
Is there let's say Charles goes and fights Conor, right? But he's not technically the champion, so you could end up fighting Islam for the vacant belt. Do you have a preference out of those two who you'd like to fight, or do you think it needs to be Charles as to justify the challenge?
Charles is a bigger fight because let's be honest, he's really the champion. He's our ground champ. You know what I mean? Like, he's a champ. Everyone looks at him as a champ. So that's the bigger fight. But if Islam was to fight him, and while I'm healing or something, they have that fight and Islam takes it, then it's Islam. Whoever's got hold of that belt, or whoever's considered the champ, that's what I want. I want a nice shiny belt on both shoulders. So I want to even it out. You know, I'm already got a sore back sometimes. You know what I mean, from carrying this one belt. So I need two. Level me out.
February 11th, 2023, UFC 284, Makhachev versus Volkanovski, Perth, Western Australia. Islam Makhachev is set to defend his title for the first time against lightweight newcomer and current featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski.
If I beat Volkanovski, I'm gonna be pound for pound best fighter in the world. This is my dream. That's why we call Alex. The game is changed when I take the belt. Now the people or fighters know my name, you know. Before they try to avoid me, but for him, you know, it's good fight. What he gonna lose? Belt, nothing. He just come to the fight, make money, but after that fight he can step his division and be there like champion. He not losing much on this fight.
Do I think I had a harder path to, pound for pound and all that? Yeah, look at my resume. But do I believe he is as good as a number 1 pound for pound? Yeah. Or number 2 pound for pound? Yeah, for sure. I believe he definitely deserves to be up here. He's a great fighter. So, again, you probably look at the resume, still a good resume, but it's probably not as good and as deep as some of ours. But at the same time, when it comes to skill, he's definitely right up there.
A lot has been made of what this win would mean if Alex got it. I'm curious, you know how good you are. If he beats you this weekend, could he be considered the greatest of all time?
It's not possible. Because I am the champion and we fight 155. This is not his area. This is other power, other division. I'm gonna beat him easy.
In what turned out to be MMA Fighting's 2023 Fight of the Year, Makhachev wins an extremely competitive decision and remains lightweight champion.
Now I'm not just champion, I'm best fighter in the world. And you know, I am very happy.
Alex,
now people gonna call me not just champ, best fighter in the world. This is my dream, and doesn't matter how I won, I'm very happy.
Look, man, it was a close fight, so what can you do? I'm the type of person that I could have done more, so I'm a bit harder on myself. You know, a lot of people probably, a lot of people counted me out, so they're like, oh, hey, wow, like, you know what I mean? But I was never counting myself out. I expected to win, so I'm disappointed. I know I could have done more. I could have capitalised on the things earlier as well. I did think he was going to be stronger, and I probably could have done more earlier. But anyway, what do you do? Credit to him. Well-rounded, yeah. I underestimated his striking, he underestimated my wrestling and stuff like that. So, what do you do? Mixed martial arts, yeah. We at least we threw it all out there. I'm hearing that he was saying, I heard a whisper, I could be wrong, that he was going back to his corner saying he wants a rematch because he thought he lost. So that's funny. I'm gonna jump on that rematch.
The concept of pound for pound's a weird thing, right? It's like, oh, if you're the same size with your current skill set, who wins that fight?
Well, that's the thing. He put the title on the right line, right? Which is, like we'll fight for his title. But I mean, pound for pound, let's remember pound for pound, it goes a size. And why do you think I was a massive underdog and stuff like that? But at the same time, I expected to win, so I ain't gonna sit there and be like, oh, he was bigger and all that. I was like, yeah, you went up to fucking lightweight, of course. You know what I mean? No, that's expected. But pound for pound is a funny thing. Me going out there and winning would have showed just why, I'm that pound for pound, you know what I mean? But you can see that I could definitely win that fight. I definitely want that fight back.
If you could describe the fallout of this fight, whether it's a personal thing or something else, what word would you use and why?
Lunacy. And honestly, I feel like that's kind of self-explanatory. If you are a rational person who has been engaging with this week, it has been insane. And I came into that fight more than probably most people thinking that it would be one-way traffic. Like, I stood on my corner and was like, I respect Alexander Volkanovski. I think he's the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. But when Islam gets going, that is a train downhill. He is not going to be able to stop it. And I was dead ass wrong on that. No questions asked, all the way wrong. Everyone else and myself were wrong that Volkanovski would just run him on the feet. He didn't. He lost the fight on the feet. If that is just a striking match, if we're only counting the striking portions of it, he lost the fight on the feet. The narratives were so flipped, but coming out of that event, no one is really talking about the back half. That has happened more as we've gotten a little more space from it. Cooler heads have prevailed a little more where people can and have been giving Islam the recognition he deserves for that. But for much of this post-UFC 284 aftermath, it has been the narrative of Alexander Volkanovski, how he exceeded expectations, how he won 4 rounds, which is freaking insane to argue that, and the general trend of that, largely I think because 1, he overachieved, 2, he ended well, and that always tricks people into thinking that the first 4 rounds don't matter because he won the 5th, and then 3, people just really like him. And I've seen a lot of people come out and be like, I love this side of Volk. I love kind of all the antics during the fight and all that. Like, they really gravitated towards that, and it has been this swirling mass of lunacy that has then created this, we got to run it back immediately, and Islam robbed him, and all these sorts of really insane takes for a fight that I felt immediately after rewatching. I still feel Islam won, but the fight was awesome, and it would be okay to just appreciate that was really, really good. It's not the best fight we've ever seen, but the stakes were high, the drama was high, the action was good and as technical as it gets. One guy won, one guy lost, and we can revisit this in a year when both guys do the necessary things in their own weight classes. And then that can hopefully be even bigger and even better. But the overwhelming sentiment for me coming out of this is that like a large portion of the MMA fan base has gone insane.
I think people want to deny Makhachev based on certain expectations that they had for him or certain media narratives, or he's not the Habib I remember, I miss Habib, XOXO. And I get that sentiment. We all miss Habib, but this dude is a hammer. He is a defensively sound hammer. Turns out a very well-rounded hammer, and a guy who I think is not getting the respect he deserves at all coming off that win.
May 6th, 2023, UFC 288, Sterling versus Cejudo, Newark, New Jersey. On short notice, the 21-5 Diego Lopes makes his UFC debut against top 10 ranked Movsar Evloev.
I was sad because Bryce finally escaped his fight, but injuries is part of our game, and I'm very grateful that the UFC saved this fight. I'm here, I want to fight, and I need more fights, and I spent a lot of time with my injury last year for COVID. I need more fights to get finally this title, inshallah. And after this fight, maybe they organize again this fight with Bryce or someone else. I need good names. Maybe Zombie will fight. Nothing on the respect, but I need good names.
What do you think of Movsar? Obviously undefeated. He's been doing some great things. Not a lot of people want to fight him, and he's stepped up. So what do you think you can do with this guy?
Não, é isso, né? Já que ninguém quer lutar, eu tô aqui para lutar com ele, né? Então é uma oportunidade que eu tenho buscado, que é lutar contra os melhores, né?
Well, if no one wants to fight him, here I am. I showed up to fight. I think it's a great opportunity for my career. I think that people are already knowing me for just taking the fight on short notice, and on Saturday they're going to know even more about me.
Lopes drops a very competitive decision to the undefeated Evloev. The fight earns Lopes and Evloev Fight of the Night honors. Lopes would return to the cage and face Gavin Tucker at UFC Fight Night Sandhagen vs. Font in Nashville the following August. Lopes wins by triangle armbar in round 1 and earns back-to-back performance bonuses. July 8th, 2023, UFC 290, Volkanovski vs. Rodriguez, Las Vegas, Nevada. Alexander Volkanovski returns to the featherweight division to defend his 145-pound belt against the now interim UFC featherweight champion, Yair Rodriguez.
Was it hard to get the mindset back to, hey, it's still impressive to dominate a division the way you have?
No, I mean, look, obviously it stung straight after it, but play on, man. It just adds to the story. I'm going to get that rematch. Don't worry. I'm going to do my business this weekend, and I'll get that rematch, and then it's just going to add to the story. You know what I mean? It was a close one. Do we think we did enough? Yeah. Was it a robbery? No, it was a very, very close fight. I know that, but I showed you guys and I showed everyone that, I definitely wasn't going to get ragdolled like everyone thought. I ended up on top and really put it on him. But the next one, I'll take that win, and it's just going to add to the story.
In another sensational performance, Volkanovski finishes El Pantera by right hook and ground strikes late into round 3.
What Alexander Volkanovski is putting together is, I said it at the top, but it's so incredibly special at this point, right? Like, this man is my #1 pound-for-pound fighter in MMA, and we just watched him steal Yair Rodriguez's soul straight out of his body on Saturday night in really a way that no one has done since like Frankie Edgar all the way back in 2017. And that was like when Yair was just an infant, like a baby in this game. So, and also like take into effect, like, what was it? It was 2021, right? It was just a couple years ago when Yair went to absolute war with Max Holloway and showed all sorts of tremendous heart. And again, Volkanovski just completely sucked that out of him tonight. And to me, the one stat that sort of says it all, Alexander Volkanovski absorbed just 13 significant head strikes over 14 minutes of action tonight. 13 significant head strikes. Alexander Volkanovski got hit clean in the head less than once per minute throughout this fight. Like, what this man continues to do is incredible. I'm so deeply uninterested in the GOAT discussion, and I hope we don't have to do that again here, because it takes away from all of the victories that this man continues to pile up. But it's just, again, this to me is the best fighter in all of MMA right now. He is the most talented guy doing this, and tonight was just a masterclass again is showing his dominance over this division. Incredible stuff.
It is an incredible performance from Alexander Volkanovski, right? Like this, and that's the thing. I'm Volk hater. I've never once said that man is anything other than incredible. Very real. Like there's a very real argument that he is the best fighter we have ever seen, and I have said that since watching him pitch a perfect game. I mean, back-to-back perfect games, frankly, against Chen Sung-jung and Max Holloway. Like, there's like a very legitimate argument. He's the best fighter we've ever seen. I don't care about doing the GOAT talk. We can have it if the fans deem it necessary. But this was perfect from him. And this is the thing I have wanted the whole time while people are like, Jed, you suck. No, you know what's dope? When champions defend their belts against the best guys in the division, because we can just look back and be like, holy shit, man, this is pretty cool. He just beat this dude. And in 12 years, some new hot guy will be coming up, Ilia Topuria will have a hell of a run going, and people will look back and be like, yo, Yair Rodriguez, he sucks shit. He's not really worth anything. And we can do this whole song and dance over. But me, I'll be like, man, a title defense. That's incredible. Keep doing more of that, please, because this is what I love about fighting. I love watching the best guys in the world just establish a level of dominance that is not unprecedented, but incredibly unique and doesn't happen. Like I want to appreciate this part of it, and I did. I thought this was a phenomenal night from Volkanovski. You can't take anything away from him over how this happened, or it was as close to perfect a performance as you can have again.
No one can actually beat me. I don't believe anyone can beat me. But everyone has a puncher's chance. Everyone can catch you. And there's no one that's more dangerous and got a better chance of doing that than Yair Rodriguez. So there was, obviously going into the game plan, I showed him that respect. Mentally, I prepared as telling myself this. So it made me turn up in the gym every single day. It made me get the right training partners. It made me, try and work out a good game plan. Systematically break him down, take away a lot of his main tools, and I think we did a great job. He still was always going to be able to throw things because he's that creative. So that's why he was always going to be dangerous. But I was able to nullify a lot of his main tools, things that he would usually be able to do frequently. He couldn't do that with me, and then I was able to capitalize on that.
So what is most important to you? You keep saying that lightweight, but...
Oh, man, look, we all know I want that lightweight belt. We all know I want that rematch. I want that Islam fight. I think not only for me to get that belt, for me to get that win back, but I think it is a massive fight for the UFC as well. I think it's a fight everyone wants to see. It was literally that type of fight. It was that close. It was a cracking fight. Everyone enjoyed it, and it was a very, very high level. There was 1 and 2 going at it, and we showed out. It really was that. He lived up to the hype, I lived up to the hype, and that fight lived up to the hype. We just need to see 5 to 10.
October 21st, 2023, UFC 294, Makhachev versus Volkanovski 2, Abu Dhabi. In his second title defense, Islam Makhachev is scheduled to defend his title against the man he defeated to win UFC gold, Charles Oliveira, in a rematch. However, Oliveira suffers an injury less than 2 weeks before the matchup, and on 12 days' notice, the UFC ends up booking a direct rematch between the lightweight champion and the featherweight champion Volkanovski to headline UFC 294. This will be Volkanovski's second attempt to become a simultaneous UFC multiweight champion.
I don't have any pressures because I am a champion. Doesn't matter who is gonna be in front of me. But I agree, this guy don't have any pressures. He came 11 days and I already beat him, and if I beat him again, those people gonna say he come short notice, not good shape, something like this. But for me, it's nothing means. I just step to the cage, finish this guy, that's it.
Man, last time in Australia, brother. Everything is changed,
Islam needs all the advantages he can get. That's all he thinks about. I don't need none of that.
Brother,
I've got these, that's all I worry about.
You don't
mate.
need, I need this, brother.
I rely on my skills, not crowds, not nothing.
Everybody know what you need, just money, that's it.
Mate, one thing I will say about that, I don't know what mentality or mindset he has. I want to avenge my losses.
You know what I mean? That it burns me when you know what I mean? I didn't get my hand raised. That hurts me. Now I have to do it on 12 days notice. And I'm okay with that. I accept that and I'm ready to put on a show.
You have to say thanks to me. I can choose any other opponent. We have Gamrot, we have Poirier, everybody ready for fight to the belt. But I give you second time chance.
But everyone wants this rematch anyway, so we're going to put on a show.
Just say thank you, that's it.
Do you think this will be a technical fight, or can you see this being a firefight in the middle where someone gets a finish early?
I mean, obviously there's going to be a lot of skill involved, but hey, I've made it clear. They know what's happening. Like, I ain't here to play it safe. I can't afford to play it safe. I'm going in for the kill, and that's it. You know what I mean? So it's kill or be killed, you know, and that's that.
This time, there would be no judging controversy, as Makhachev delivers a knockout of the year candidate head kick and defeats Volkanovski for the second time in as many fights.
Really happy to finish the first round, because after, if it's happened in championship round, people start to talk, he's take this fight short notice, he's not ready for championship round. But I'm really happy because I finished all these things in the first round. Well done. All this story with Volkanovski, it's finished right now.
Do you feel like this proves you are the best fighter in the world right now?
Of course. Some people underestimated my striking, but I showed, in the first fight, I showed the people my striking. And I think now people will respect my striking, and I just show I'm not just wrestler, grappler, or striker. I know I'm a best fighter, best MMA fighter in the world.
Yes, this fight came together very quickly. Yes, Alexander Volkanovski stepped up on less than 2 weeks' notice for Charles Oliveira. Their first fight, fight of the year contender, Islam Makhachev, made sure, and you could kind of see it in his face, and we talked about it on the watch party, this man just looked ready to go. He looked focused. Not that he was ever in like bad shape, but he looked in impeccable shape. And you noticed it when Bruce Buffer was given the introductions, and then he just goes out and just ices Alexander Volkanovski. Your reaction to what we saw from the lightweight champion of the world in the main event?
What else is there to say, man? Islam Makhachev is that dude. Like, he is. He is that man. That is the best pound for pound fighter on the entire planet. And the feeling that man must be feeling right now inside of himself. He's heard for 8 months straight about how all this controversy in the first fight, how Volk beat him, etc., etc. Volk ended the fight with the momentum on top. If that fight goes longer, Volk wins. Everything that man has heard over the last 8 months, all gone now. All silent. That man put it to rest. There is no controversy here. He is the best fighter in the entire world in my eyes. And just what an all-around package this guy has become, right? Because this wasn't a grapple fest. This wasn't a Khabib Nurmagomedov-esque just stifling a domination on the ground. That man just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski. Like, you can repeat that sentence as many times as you want. Islam Makhachev just knocked out Alexander Volkanovski with a head kick. That is crazy. That is not an outcome that I think many people saw coming. That is the first time Alexander Volkanovski's been knocked out since 2013. Like, this is just, if you were Islam Makhachev, this was the perfect performance to be able to quell all of that and just become who you are. I don't think this man lives under the shadow of Khabib Nurmagomedov anymore. He is Islam Makhachev. He is one of the best lightweights we've ever seen, perhaps. And he is now one fight away. Get this, right? He's now one fight away from tying the UFC's all-time record for most consecutive title defenses for a lightweight champion.
The thing I had the biggest question mark coming in was, how good is he going to look? Because there had been reports that he had been training since the hand injury or since the hand surgery for this, and seems pretty clear that if he had been, it wasn't like hard-nosed training prep for this, like some had imagined, and that this really was a coming off the couch thing. Casey and I talked about it during the post-fight presser. For as good as Makhachev looked, Volk did not look like he was at his peak of physical conditioning, and so I think it's pretty fair to say that this was not the best Volkanovski. And considering the best Volkanovski lost to this dude, you can't fight Islam Makhachev if you ain't 100% and all the way. It just is going to be a really, really bad night for you because he's the best guy in the world and he's getting better. He's 31. He is getting better. Like I don't know what to do other than bring a bat with you to the cage because you ain't beating this man with just your hands.
November 11th, 2023. UFC 295, Prochazka versus Pereira, New York City, New York. Diego Lopes makes his third appearance in the UFC, this time opposite Pat Sabatini. The jiu-jitsu ace surprises everyone with another first-round finish, but this time by strikes. The victory earns Lopes his third straight performance bonus.
From May to now, could you ever have dreamed of this happen? At the beginning of the year, if I would have told you that you'd become this UFC star by the end of 2023, did you believe that this was going to happen?
No pensé que fuera a ser tan rápido, pero pues como las cosas se están dando, pues me está gustando y pues lo estoy aprovechando el más que se pueda.
He's taking advantage of everything. He's loving it, and he knew it was going to happen, but not this fast.
February 17th, 2024. UFC 298, Volkanovski versus Topuria, Anaheim, California. The champion, Alexander Volkanovski, is set to defend his belt against the undefeated Ilia Topuria.
Who doesn't want to fight me right now? Who not? I didn't become a UFC World Champion yet. I have 3 more days to do it. They are really calling me out. Everyone. Why?
Yeah, because they want to fight you.
Yeah.
And you're a big deal.
Yeah, red panty nights.
This week, for photos, you touched your belt the last time you did a face-off. What does it mean to you if you're going to get that belt wrapped around you on fight night?
That's what I've always said. You want to earn your not given to you. He took advantage of taking a photo with the belt, and like I said, you may as well take advantage of it now. You're never going to see it again. Not until I teach you a lesson. Maybe one day you can be a great champion. I'm going to kick your ass first. You'll learn your lesson. Maybe you can bounce back after that. But till then, get your hands off my belt.
Halfway through round 2, Topuria knocks out Volkanovski in devastating fashion with a right hook. The 15-0 Ilia Topuria is now the UFC featherweight champion.
Oh, nice combo! Oh my god! Oh my god! Holy shit! Holy shit!
He can't even believe it. Oh my god.
The loss would be Volkanovski's first time losing as a featherweight and his second consecutive knockout loss. June 29th, 2024. UFC 303, Pereira versus Prochazka 2, Las Vegas, Nevada. Diego Lopes is booked in his biggest fight to date, as he is set to face top-ranked and former 2-time title challenger Brian Ortega as the co-main event for the pay-per-view. In a wild turn of events, just hours before the actual fight, Lopez's opponent Brian Ortega falls ill and is forced to pull out of the event. Fellow top 15 ranked Dan Ige accepts the opportunity to face Lopes at a catchweight of 165 pounds just a few hours before the scheduled fight. Lopes would go on to win a decisive but competitive decision.
For Fish, I told you yesterday, anyone, anytime, anywhere. I'm ready to fight every time. No problem. Eu creio que com o que acaba de suceder pues, nas últimas 48 horas, eu creio que necessito pouco mais de respeito pues, a meu nome agora, não? Então, eu creio que estou listo pues, para tomar uma pelea contra qualquer de top 5.
I think with everything that happened in the last 48 hours, I think people need to put some respect on my name. I think I'm ready to fight anyone in the top 5.
September 14th, 2024. UFC 306, O'Malley versus Dvalishvili, Las Vegas, Nevada. Riding a 4-fight win streak in the octagon, Diego Lopes is rebooked against Brian Ortega. Lopes dominates and takes home a lopsided decision victory over the top-ranked Ortega.
Brian Ortega has only lost to UFC champions. Because it's true. The only people that Brian Ortega has lost to are people who have held UFC gold. Diego Lopes now in that number. Perhaps that does pretend that he gets to hold UFC gold. Even Alexander Volkanovski seems impressed. He's out here posting his next fight is for the title. Maybe he fights Lopez for an interim title if that's something the UFC could be interested in. I mean, this is a guy who, for a guy who, lost his UFC debut, I mean, albeit incredibly competitive with Movsarevlo, but lost on Contender Series to Joe Anderson Brito, who's a damn good fighter, but still losing on Contender Series a couple of years ago to now just taking the company by storm. The glowing things Dana said about him at the post presser, people are asking, it's like, we love that guy, we'll do anything for that guy. Like, he's got the world by the ass right now and continues to justify it, continues to look great as more and more opportunities happen for him. I never saw this coming, and credit to him, man. Like, this is a heck of a run he's on right now.
Absolutely. It's going to be real interesting to see where, just go back to if Loev and Sterling are fighting, do you give him the winner? I love the Volk idea. I think that would be incredible. I don't think Volk would, unless there's a belt on the line, I don't think Volk takes that fight. I think he's just going to wait and see if he gets his shot, and he probably should get it after the long run he was on. But
I think he's just angling for an interim belt because, belts. But yes, I doubt he would fight that without a belt on the line. But maybe the UFC decides to do an interim belt. I don't know.
April 12th, 2025. UFC 314, Volkanovski versus Lopez, Miami, Florida. After Ilia Topuria makes the surprising decision to vacate the UFC featherweight title in lieu of a move to the UFC's lightweight division, Alexander Volkanovski, riding a 2-fight losing streak, is booked in the pay-per-view main event against Diego Lopes for the now vacant UFC featherweight title. The matchup will be Lopez's first UFC title opportunity in his first UFC main event.